So what I'm going to talk about is measuring success with SAFE, some practical tips. When I say some practical tips, this is something I have started uh, thinking about from SAFE 5.0. So this thought is pretty new in the sense January onwards, we have some guidelines on SAFE 5.0. That's where I started. Yes, I started, but COVID hit us. And with that, the way we think about consulting, that paradigm has changed. Way we think about how do I help an organization has changed. In fact, the first 2 months, everybody of us were in a dilemma of can we even do certain things, be it training or be it helping the teams. I think this thought of how do we tie back everything also came to me when I looked at some of the news articles and news items, which said the people didn't have a computer or a laptop, so to say. They had a computer at the office and they're not able to work now. So it was all about now not IT people or developers or testers. It was now about your the office staff, or I mean your procurement team, which had to procure laptops in a faster way. I don't know how they did it. And then they had to ship it to the people. They were distributed. They were not in the same city. They were all distributed because of the lockdown and the expectations. And with all that in place, many beliefs around business agility have shaken. So many beliefs around, I mean, what is organizational agility or what is business agility has been shaken in the last few months. So how do I tie back? How do I think about it? Right. So that's where I'm in thinking about, is there a way from the framework itself, which already has a lot of guidelines around, I mean, how do we measure value? How do we look at problem statement? What is business agility for me? How do I look at that? And at the same time, apply those things in a seamless manner in whatever world we are in. So what do I do that? And what are those minimum guidelines I can give to the people to start their journey? Because some of the things that we could do face to face may not be possible now. But at the same time, there are opportunities which are opened up because of this online kind of a situation. So what I'm going to do in this talk is I'm going to trying to connect or an approach. What is that approach that we need to build in this kind of a world? A little bit about me, not so much important, but at the same time, that's about me. So what's the approach? I love books. So I will try to take some quotes from some books and whatever I've read and try to put that one. So Chip and Dan Heath, famous authors of The Switch, which is a very nice book, but this is from another book of theirs, The Power of Moments. What they say there is, if you have a longer milestone, or if you have something, I mean, which on a path which you are going for the first time, there is always a lot of uncertainty. Again, I mean, one thing I want to call, I mean, one thing which is near to my heart is change is not hard. The fear of unknown, getting away from that one is the hardest thing. Change is never hard. If change is so hard, we won't get married, we won't have pets. Like Sriram, we won't move continents to work in a different continent. Or like me, leave a job after a few years of work and I mean, try to become a consultant. We won't do that one. What is hard is the fear of unknown. So how do we show that finish line to the people? And what Chip and Dan Heath has a suggestion is, can we multiply those milestones? Instead of having one milestone, can we multiply those milestones? And we transform that long and hard and whatever kind of a journey into more of an intermediate finish lines. So again, we push through each other, we push through each one, so that whenever we reach a certain stage, there is also energy coming out of it. So can we look at a finish line as multiple finish lines? That's the approach that I'm going to talk about. And how do I do this? How do I do if I'm implementing SAFE, and what are those things and parameters that are required at a strategic level itself to make sure that people, when they start execution, they have the right measurements. Again, I'm not using in the measurement in terms of story points or the business value or just a high level understanding of automation and so on and so forth. What are those measurements the organizations and the teams can take heart with? The first thought is innovation accounting. Again, the thought process is from the lean startup, from Eric Rice. Idea is the current world, entrepreneurs are in a different spot of bother. You can't think about, okay, I have few $1 million, I will use it, I will build something, and then give it to the market. What he says is, Eric Rice says is, money is mostly not the problem. It's mostly about the time. So money is not a problem. If you have a good idea, there are people who will pay the money for you, or I mean, there are venture capitalists for you. But at the same time, if you don't have the a real understanding of what are the milestones we are going to hit, how are we running, any startup, again, when I say startup, it is not just the startups, but it is also about a large organization thinking about a new initiative. It is also works in a startup way. If that's the case, how do we make sure that I'm moving in the right direction? If my overall milestone is going to be 1 year, how do I know every 2 months that I'm moving in the right direction? This is where a concept called innovation accounting comes in. What he says is, it's a boring stuff. You need to measure progress. I mean, while there is an intensity on the technology, while there is an intensity on the new process, you need to measure progress. And you need to know, how do you set up that milestones? How do you prioritize your work, right? And this is where he says, I mean, there is a concept of innovation accounting that is needed. And this has to think about what are those leading indicators. Again, defect is a lagging indicator. Only when defect happens, I come to know. But if I want to think about what is my leading indicator, which will help me to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction. So how do you do it? What does SAFE help you with? For me, it is the formation of Lean Agile Center of Excellence and an importance of a transformation backlog. Lean Agile Center of Excellence in the SAFE's implementation roadmap, it's one of the first things you do. Somebody has a sense of urgency. They want to affect the change, or they want to really think about, okay, what's a new thing that could help us? So this is where Lean Agile Center of Excellence is a small set of individuals. They are dedicated to implementing an agile way of working, right? They have a mission statement with the success criteria measured. So this is where your innovation accounting comes in place. Even before you start affecting the change, you are already putting a success measures for yourself. It could be short term, it could be medium term, it could be long term. You have to really create those success criteria. Otherwise, it becomes a passing the buck around. It's like, I didn't do, you didn't do, or somebody else didn't do, right? So we need to have this understanding of what is that mission statement that I have, and how am I going to go through the success criteria. You need to have a clear definition of that one. And again, SAFE articles also suggest that one. And what I have seen also is very important thing, when you start the transformation, run the transformation also in an agile way. Run the transformation as a scrum team. So again, guidance articles also talk about as LAYS is 4 to 6 members, typically a scrum team size. They also have a scrum master. They also have a product owner. What is their product? Their product is the transformation. Run the transformation as a scrum team, period, right? And you cannot go away with that one. You have to run your transformation as an agile team, as simple as that. When you are talking about agile, we are talking about SAFE, you are talking about the new ways of working, you have to make sure that you are walking the talk, and the transformation has to run like an agile team. So how do we do that? Where is the starting point for creating a transformation backlog? This is where I think many of the speakers have been talking about a measure and grow and the business facility assessment. This gives you a starting point. This gives you a starting point on where are we currently? Are we doing things right? Are we a little lacking on some of the aspects, like say team and technical agility? We are doing everything, but there are no engineering practices. So how do we think about that one? And also what I'm going to do is, this is the first parameter I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about overall 3 parameters, and I will show you that it's a circle. It is not a one or the other. All of these things have to work in tandem. Yes, I have a LAYS. I need to create a transformation backlog. I know that business agility assessment is a starting point. So that's where I mean my second part kicks in. Any questions till now? My talk is not too much. I'll be finishing the slide as fast as I could.
So at the time of PI,
Okay.
can we define the success criteria by, can it be defined by the product or by the business? So what are the like efficient way to define it?
Yeah. And again, the success criteria are a measure of the success of the transformation itself. So it could be about productivity improvement. It could be about time to market that you want to increase, right? Or it could be about stability of the platform. It could be about defect reduction over a period of time. Because most of the case studies, if you see, right, successful ones, I mean, which are on the website, they always say we started with this thought process. Again, can we not change over a period of time? Definitely you can change, you can add, you can update, you can append. That's the agility part of it. But start with something in mind, right? I mean, what is your North Star? As a company, say 3 year, 4 year down the line, where do you want to reach? Start with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, Ashwini, one more question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we say like the LACE needs to be a team of dedicated people, is that something that is always possible, that you have these people entirely dedicated for this safely and agile way of working?
Again, lean agile leaders, again, they are not like a dedicated person taken as one lean agile center of leader. Rather,
Right.
they are the people who have the authority, command, and understanding of the domain. Something like your lean portfolio manager or your somebody from your C-suite or senior VP of development, right? So they are the people in the LACE for me, right? Again, don't confuse with the most of the cases what we've seen is a transformation office with all the coaches, and somebody comes and tells them you do the strategy. Not really that way. So leaders have to walk the talk and they have to create the backlog.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
they have to create the backlog. Coaches could be there in that team. They are like, I mean, what we call as a hub and spoke model. Hub is the LACE. Spokes are your coaches, I mean, who are going into different portfolios and helping people there.
Okay.
Yeah. LACE has to have that, what you say, you have to have that gravitas. So to right? I mean, you can't run LACE with somebody from the trenches. Yes, I mean, somebody from the trenches should also be there. An engineering manager or a senior developer, an architect should also be there to kind of make sure that the strategy and the execution aligns. But at the same time, it should have that gravitas.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Ashwinee, Rohan here. You know, so I definitely come from a services company, and over there, right, we see a lot, right? If you have only agile coaches, over there, right, it becomes a big problem because you know we have delivery managers and we have account managers, you know, who are really sort of owning. So what I definitely think, you know, that we should have a lot more other people, you know. Our agile, you know, whoever is well versed in agile coaches, right? Apart from them, you know, we should have the delivery folks.
See, again, simple thing, right? I mean, you can't be doing both the strategy and the execution. As an agile coach, I mean, you do the strategy, you go and execute the same strategy into the execution. That's where the problem is. I mean, see, few teams, one program, it might work. The moment we start talking about an organization, thousands of people, it will not really work. You need to have the clarity of where is the clarity coming from, which is the organization. Where is the competence lies? Competence lies with the people. So they both have to be aligned that way. So LACE becomes this glue of, okay, this is our strategy. These are the, I mean, this is how we are funding. This is how, I mean, we are training. Again, I'm just taking funding as an example. This is how we are training. This is how we are making sure the people are becoming successful, right? And like you rightly pointed out, I mean, don't take it harsh. As an agile coach, I may not know every part of the organization or every other constraints within the organization. I need to know that one as well. Somebody has to give me the guidance on that part also. Okay. The second parameter.
So is this, sorry, just a small question. So it is a similar kind of a function which we normally a PMO team does?
Sorry, PMO team. Okay, again, there is a concept of APMO in Agile as in Safe as well. What we say is, yes, PMO people are doing currently certain things. They are valuable in terms of when they have certain skill sets and when they have some certain thought processes. We definitely need them. At the same time, they need to have an Agile mindset, because the moment you move from a project to product mindset, the time-based projects are no more a reality, right? So
Right.
we definitely need them, but in a different format. And LACE and Agile PMO, they always work hand in hand. That's an interesting point you brought in. I mean, they always work hand in hand. Agile PMO is about facilitation. I mean, Agile PMO is about, collaboration. Agile PMO is about consolidation. LACE is about the strategy part of it. And Shivesh, I had a question from you on if it is LACE would be time to market. I mean, those will be lagging indicators. Definitely agree. From a perspective to start with, it could be a lagging indicator, but later we'll also touch upon the leading indicator part as well. So that way, we are kind of connecting back. That's where I'm trying to connect back the first part to the last part as well. And that's where my hunch of the transformation team has to run like a scrum team. So every 2 weeks, they're going to meet and they're going to look at the success criteria and making sure that. The second part, measure and grow. I'm not going to touch too much upon it because in multiple talks, I mean, the speakers have touched upon this part. It's a new way for portfolios to evaluate its progress towards business agility. In the sense, I mean, I need to know a starting point. Where am I lacking, or which parts of the organizations are going good? And if you look at the SAFE's core competencies, on the SOS 7 core competencies, which part should I be focusing on today, right? And it could be two mechanisms per SAFE. One is the entirety, in the entirety you will try. It's where the picture, which kind of talks about business agility assessment, which talks about all the 7 core competencies of your lean portfolio management, your enterprise solution delivery, product delivery, team and technical agility, org agility, lean portfolio, then the learning culture, continuous learning culture, and lean agile leadership. All these 7 factors, I mean, we take into, there are 3 dimensions for each one of them. Look your starting point as those 21 dimensions. If those 21 dimensions are working well, again, it is not that everywhere you have to be 5 out of 5. You really need to concentrate on some areas where you can do better, right? This also could help you to really see, is it a strategic part or is it an execution part? So we focus on that one. And in fact, if you see one of the portions not being very well, if you want to understand it a little better, there is a core competency assessment as well. I see that team and technical agility is working well, but at the same time, agile product delivery, where we talk about customer centricity, design thinking, DevOps, is not really a strength area for me. If I want to dwell deeper, I go into the agile product delivery assessment. Those assessments help the teams to on the trains to really see, if this is my business agility assessment, what is my core competency says, right? I mean, what are those dimensions or what are those practices that I need to inculcate over a period of time? So I'm connecting now, okay, you have a Lean Agile Center of Excellence. They have a backlog. They have a thought of, say, multiple years and what do you want to achieve? This becomes the starting point. Again, I'll go back to my thought on change is not hard. It's the fear of unknown that is hard. So this kind of eliminates that fear of unknown. So you don't want to start in the dark. You want to start somewhere there is some light. So this business agility assessment gives you some light around, okay, this is where we are, looks like. Again, I'm not saying it's the right one to start with, but looks like, I mean, this is a place for me. Can I dig a little deeper? I do dig a little deeper. I get some measurements or I get some thoughts around, okay, looks like our engineering practices are not really rooted. While we have, say, automation as an initiative, a unit test coverage as an initiative, but what looks from the numbers is we are not really there. Can we dig a little deeper and really understand what are the problems there, right? So that kind of becomes a next step for you. And by the way, this measure and grow, the assessment, I mean, business agility assessment as such is available on the SAFE website. You go to skillagileframework.com and you don't have to be a registered member or anything. Just click on the measure and grow on the top of the framework. In fact, why can't I show that one, right? That's a good thing in an online situation. I can actually show that one. So you have a measure and grow here. Just click on that measure and grow and the business agility assessment. You have the assessment. You could download that one as well. Again, there are some guidelines around who could run or how to run as well. I mean, it's always a good that an SPC runs this one, but you can also try at your team level. It's an organization level one. You can try at your organization level. And there are some thoughts around how do you make it happen. So always good to be marking or start marking skilledagileframework.com. Lot of wealth of knowledge there. And what do we do next? Again, this is my thoughts. This is where your objectives and key results help you. So when you have an organization which has a strategic team, or this is what we want to do, you always look at an organization level, maybe at the program level, even at the team level, you could look at objectives and key results. What is your objective? What are the key results you want to, you are expecting from that one? Again, John Doerr, Measure What Matters, that's a book. He talks about OKRs being used in Intel to start with, Andy Grove, and then Google heavily uses OKRs as a language. Idea is, if a ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step you take just gets to the wrong place faster. So always we do this mistake of, okay, let's do the agile teams tomorrow. Let's start running in a Scrum way. We expect the result within 6 months. We expect the result within 1 month. Yes, I mean, you can definitely expect a result, but if your ladder is not leaning against the right wall, you are not going to be helpful. It's not going to be helpful. This is where I'll tie it back again, kind of tie it back again to your strategic teams and KPIs. So an organization will have a strategic team. I'll try it back there. Is I started as a Lean Agile Center of Excellence. I know that, okay, LACE has to be formed. I need a backlog. I created a backlog with business agility assessment help, with the help of that. Now it's a time for me to again look back at what is my organization thinking about it. So that way I can come up with bifurcation of those themes into multiple KPIs. How do I reach that? What do I need to do to reach that? A simple thing, I mean, a simple example of a strategic theme that I am that can be written in an OKR format, which I mean, I kind of talk about every time, is a bank telling our customers should not come to our bank. So it's like, I mean, the bank is expecting people to work from anywhere from the world and do the same things. That user experience is given for them everywhere. So what could be the leading indicators for me? In that case is people coming to the bank reduces by 10% over 6 months. Or within 1 year, I mean, we have 50% reduction in people coming to the bank. Then I'll say that, okay, I am being successful and moving in that direction. Can I also think about, okay, customers are coming less to the bank. At the same time, my profitability or the volume of the revenue, that's also increasing with the industry or above the industry. So above the industry would be a better benchmark for me, because I'm now seeing that the customers have a better user experience in my bank than the other banks. Can I think about that one, right? So derive those KPIs. Again, OKRs could be as Google teaches us. It could be from CEO to the developer, right? I mean, OKRs can flow from CEO to the developer. CEO writes the OKRs, then they write the key results. That key results becomes the objective for someone else. I mean, they're whoever is reporting to them maybe. Then, I mean, they take it up, they kind of break it down. They say, okay, this is my objectives, these are my key results. And also there are a lot of guideline articles available on the internet, plus on the SAFE website as well, and on how do we write a good OKR, objectives and key results, right? It's also, that's also where you can think about what are the to-do things or business as usual things. What are those things where you are investing and getting some education there and also things where you could do a lot better. Usually Google calls it as a moonshot, which is 10 times more harder, but you want to try doing that one. Can I also think about some of those items in my backlog? While I know that it may not be possible, I'm not stopping in executing that one. Can I try certain things which are above and beyond my capacity today, but at the same time, I want to try for that moonshot, or I want to land on the moon, right? Again, that phrase came from John F. Kennedy. It was the first time, so it was deemed not possible, but it can be made possible when all of us work together. And to tie it back again to the lace, very important step in any transformation, whatever by whatever name you call them, that guiding coalition is the most important thing for the success of your transformation. Nothing, nothing less. Any questions? Any thoughts?
So who are the right set of people, ideally, in considering service and product sector in mind, who are the right people or right positions which can be a part of a list?
Okay, I mean, for me, again, I mean, my viewpoint, it depends, but at the same time, in a product organization, say VP of your product development, maybe one person from the C-suite, and definitely one of the product managers, I mean, who has been with the organization or with the domain for longer, and one person from the trenches, in the sense an engineering manager or an architect or a developer should be part of the list. So that way they have the right balance and mix of knowing the domain, knowing the product roadmap, plus also knowing the realities on the ground, right? That could be for a product organization. For a services organization, think about, I mean, your account managers who are really with the customer, right? Again, if you are giving a service as a managed service, this is my thought, right? Your account managers who are close to the customer. Can you also involve someone from the customer's organization? That could be, that would have,
Yes, so yeah, my question was like just to know this particular point, because we are a company where a lot of customer related interaction happens. So we are a combination of a platform and product both.
okay.
So few customers are associated with those who are dealing with volumes. They are more towards on the concern about platform side, and
Okay.
those who are more specific to features, they are more concerned about the product side.
Okay.
So is involving any key client or key customers, any person from customer or any person who is dealing with our product or services can be part of a list?
Yes, they can be part of the list. Yes, definitely. And also think about if both are not really tied to each other, you could have two laces as well if their programs are bigger. But if they are tied to each other, I would definitely have, I mean, the way that you are talking about, right? That way is a lot better.
Okay.
And again, there was a question on how do we convince management team for a lace team, right? As we talked about, change is hard, or the fear of unknown is the hardest part. You need to have that tipping point. And this is where, I mean, when SAFE, we talk about come to a SAFE Agilist class and understand what is this framework, what is the leader's role in that one, right? Idea is core competencies when we talk about, right? And also when we want to have the decisions quickly, there are two parts that are important. One is the clarity, one is the competency. Competency is something the team provides you. Clarity is something which has to come from the management. Again, it doesn't mean that they are sitting only for that one, right? So they are doing their work, but at the same time, they are giving the strategic directions. Lace team for me doesn't mean that they are sitting in a one room forever, right? It is not that. Initially, they will have some enough heavy lifting to do, but over a period of time, they train enough leaders so that this can be taken in a big way, right? And how do we convince the management? Yes, I mean, education is the key. Education is the important one and the key. It is not just about the strategy, or it's not just about the execution. Somebody has to glue these two parts. And if the leaders don't lead the change, I think, we'll have heartburns later saying that, okay, this part didn't work and this part didn't work. And that's where, setting those leading indicators of how will we see success in what is my success in 3 months? What is my success in 6 months? That's very, very key and important.
I have one more
Sure.
things to clarify. Can you just one more go to the measure and grow slide?
Yeah.
So
This
just
one.
help me to, because it is I'm not able to read it because
Okay.
it's small. So can you just help us to understand that how to read it properly and in a detailed way, the second graph,
Yeah.
how to organize in a practical way?
Yeah, it's a simple one. So if you go to Scale Agile Framework and the overview tab, you have these 7 core competencies. Each core competency is broken into 3 parts. So I'll take one of them. Say if I go to team and technical agility, it says it's about agile teams. That's your a Scrum team, maybe Scrum Master, Product Owner is there, Backlog is there. You have your ceremonies being done. You are all trained, so on and so forth. When we talk about team of agile teams, it's about an agile release train, multiple teams coming together, doing a PA planning, understanding a safe, then doing the system demos. When you talk about built-in quality, you're talking about your engineering practices, your code quality, your pair programming, TDD, those kind of things, right? So you are looking at these 3 factors there. So in the business agility assessment, what happens is you have around 60 odd questions, which are talking about these 21 dimensions. So each one is a core competency. Each one has a dimension. If I go to an agile release train later, it's like customer centricity and design thinking. Where are we? Developing on cadence, or rhythmically developing and integrating. Where are we? DevOps, where are we? We are looking at these factors. So end of the day, what this business agility assessment gives you is those 21 points, indication on those 21 points, where are you? So as I said, each dimension has nearly 3 questions. So based on those questions, how do you answer? Is it true? Is it false? Or is it somewhere in between? Based on that, you get these parameters as a starting measurement.
The more closer to center is a point of concern, right?
Point of concern, exactly. Yeah. Again, it may not be a concern many a times, because say if you are
point
not,
to focus, you can say.
Point to focus maybe, or say if you are not focusing on the lean portfolio management to start with, you may not think it as a concern, but you will have to keep an eye on you, as you rightly mentioned, right? Then what you do is, there are assessments which are specific to team and technical agility. Now you have some thoughts around team and technical agility. You want to get deeper into that one. This is where each of these assessments again provide you around 40 to 50 questions to delve deeper onto, if the backlog is a problem, what is the problem? Is it the prioritization problem, or the role clarity problem, or the domain expertise problem, right? So you get to know a little bit more in this one deeper.
Okay.
And great. Yeah.
Interesting thing, which we found during this was, right, everyone had their own opinion. Some people
Exactly.
definitely rated it, higher, while others were like,
Yeah. So SAFE gives you 2 ways of, kind of handling or facilitating it. The first way is you share this one with everyone. They do it, and individually, then you kind of merge all of the things, right? But if you ask me, a little better way, it might take a time, but a little better way is put everyone in the team, in the room, and ask them, okay, guided questions, right? Ask this question and what do you think? So somebody thinks A, somebody thinks B, then have some discussion and come to a common conclusion. That might be a better way. Again, depends on the context. That might be a better way to really see where are we. And one thing I tell about metrics and any measurement is, take every measurement with a pinch of salt, because you can't measure one thing and take one thing as a guiding light, right? You will have to maybe correlate with another 10 factors as well. So maybe, right? So if a lean agile leadership is less and team and technical agility is also less, there could be a connection there. Or something is more, something is high, there might be or something is less, something is high, there might be a point of concern as well. Don't look at the metrics in a isolated way. Never ever do that one. And how do we connect? Each organization has to, if you ask me, each organization has to find out what connects to what, depending on their context. And typically in a chaos theory, we talk about this. There is a wave that has happened in Mexico and washed out few homes. And when you try to start finding out the root causes, finally it is attributed to a butterfly flipping its wing in India. So that's how some of the measurements are. Can't help it. Anything that was useful? Any feedback? Any other thoughts? I know, I have not given any concrete answers intentionally. This is what I do in all my presentations. Trying to put 3-4 book references, trying to put 7 more thoughts, right? So that we will all go back and start digging a little deeper. That is useful. That is always useful.
Yes, Ashwinee.
Yeah, I think any session should leave you with more questions than the answers. Again, that's my way of looking at things. We have 5 more minutes before the break. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take it up. Okay, this should be an article which is published. Definitely, I'll take this feedback. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So search for me on LinkedIn. If I don't put this article in some time, please remind me to put that article. Maybe I'll put that one.
So, Ashwinee, OKR is a relatively new thing, right? At least for SAFE.
For SAFE, it has always been there. The guidance articles were hidden and been there.
Okay.
I think, now, it is kind of, okay, where do we really use it? Those guidance articles have become more and more clear around OKRs and KPIs. If I remember correctly, from the last 4 years, OKRs have always been there, somewhere hidden, but there is a good guideline and good thought process around OKRs now. It is solidified over a period of time. How do we use it in the SAFE context, right? That's solidified over a period of time. Otherwise, as such, OKRs, Google using OKRs, it's a known thing from 2000 onwards.
Correct.
But are we rightly using it? That's where the problem is, right?
Yeah. So, OKRs and outcomes versus output, right? So
Yes,
these
exactly.
have been in, what I can say in the agile world, or as you mentioned, I have not gone particularly for Google,
Yeah.
but, have used in our various accounts as well.
Exactly.
But now, SAFE has connected them to strategic things, right?
And one good thing about, again, I'm a SAFE fanboy, so
Yeah,
there's
of
no
course, I'm also.
no shame in admitting that one. One thing SAFE is good at is making sure that they are publishing those things at the right time and with the right intent and right specifications, right? You can't just you don't just say, okay, OKRs, use OKRs and wherever you want, right? So rather, you give a clear articulation and a guideline and say, okay, this is how we feel. And also, I think it's always about, consultants like me or the fellows, SPCTs, they giving a feedback on, I used it here, it is working for me, right? So a lot of deliberation goes into every word that's SAFE, right? So that's why I'm saying any SAFE page, if you see a book recommendation, blindly buy that book. So I've been doing that one. And for the last 50 odd books, I have never been let down or disappointed. So all of them are really a life changer in one way or the other for you, right? So I'm only inspiring you guys to read more. You should have this work of reading some more books or SAFE website for the next 1 year. It's a treasure trove.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, looking forward, what's coming in the next SAFE version now.
I think in our immersion week, just a divergence, immersion week, Dean did mention that one. 5.0, if I put it out and then I'm not going to sleep, we are working on the next version. What is it? We don't know. It's okay, right? So 5.1, 5.5, 6.0, or directly 7.0, we don't know.